What's up guys, welcome to Freedive Passion. This video is going to be part of a series. Over the coming weeks I'm going to discuss the different ways that you can train in the winter or the off season to prepare yourself for your depth season, so when you get to dive deep again. Today's video is going to be about developing your relaxation and your concentration. Relaxation and concentration are the most important aspects in all levels of freediving. Whether you're a beginner, intermediate or an advanced world record holder, staying focused and staying calm is just the most important part of freediving. So for that reason, no matter what your level is, it's important to start to try and develop your concentration and to develop your relaxation. Because it's not the type of thing that's just going to happen on its own. Your mind is a muscle the same as any other muscle in your body, and if you want it to do a certain thing, then you need to train it. And the best way to train your concentration is through some sort of meditation, or there are various meditative techniques, but what I personally practice and what I can recommend to you, because it's definitely worked for me, is Pranayama. So Pranayama is a part of yoga. It's a branch of yoga where you use breathing techniques and manipulate the way you breathe in order to reach different states of enlightenment or different stages of consciousness. But apart from all that, like when it relates to freediving, what it's going to do is it's going to help to develop your concentration, to help you focus on one thing and block out everything else. It's going to develop your awareness of your respiratory muscles, it's going to strengthen your respiratory muscles, and it's going to make your diaphragm more flexible. So there's a great crossover between pranayama and freediving. It's a very, very useful tool. I recommend doing a course or seeing somebody who already knows pranayama. If you can't do that for whatever reason, then you can buy a book. I learned pranayama through a book, but I rarely started to improve once I went to India and I did an actual course where they taught me pranayama. So whatever your means is, I recommend developing some sort of practice. You don't have to make it like a very long practice. You can, even 10 minutes a day is better than nothing. And one thing I will say is 10 minutes a day is better than 1 hour on a day once a week, if you see what I mean. It's more important to do a little bit consistently than what it is just to do a big long meditation session once a week. A great way to improve your relaxation while freediving is getting used to the urge to breathe and trying to control the urge to breathe. I like to think of the urge to breathe kind of like doing a really hard workout. If you've never trained very hard and you don't know how it feels, the first time you do it, you're probably going to think you're about to die and it's the end of the world because you can't breathe enough air, all your muscles are on fire and you feel dizzy. If you've never felt that before, it's bloody terrifying. It's the same with the urge to breathe. If you haven't felt the urge to breathe before, obviously it's quite scary because you don't know what your limits are. It's all new to you. But just like training hard, the more often you do it, the less of a big deal it becomes, and you learn that you can actually push your body much further than what you believed you could. It's the same with holding your breath. The more often you hold your breath, the more often you feel the urge to breathe, the less of a big deal it's going to become, until you realize it's nothing but a feeling. So to get used to this, personally, I don't recommend trying to do max breath holds very regularly. Maximum breath holds are quite mentally exhausting and they don't really necessarily serve the purpose for developing your relaxation. What I recommend is picking a breath hold that you know you can do, but it's still quite hard and you still need to go through the urge to breathe to get there. Yet, it doesn't make you nervous, you're confident that you can do the breath hold. So for example, a 3-minute breath hold when you start to get contractions at 2 minutes. So the purpose isn't to get to 3 minutes, because you know you can get to 3 minutes. The purpose of the exercise would be to try and do it and make it feel as easy as possible. So you're trying to delay the urge to breathe for as long as you can, and try and maintain your relaxation for as long as you can. I did this quite a while back, and honestly it's one of the best things I've ever done for my freediving, because it helped me understand that the urge to breathe and contractions, it's not a fixed thing. If I can stay focused and if I can stay relaxed, I can put them off indefinitely, depending on how focused and relaxed I can be. A big mistake that I think people make in the off season is doing a lot of full lung static. Your body and your mind will get used to what you train it to get used to. If you're always doing full lung static, you're going to be used to holding your breath with full lungs. But if you compare that to how it feels when you do a dive, as soon as you go below the water, you'll no longer have full lungs. The vast majority of a dive, you'll have quite empty lungs or completely empty lungs. So your training, it's not realistic. What I recommend, if your priority is to train for depth, is to do FRC or full empty lung breath holds. Another great aspect of doing empty lung training is you can start to get used to maintaining the relaxation in your stomach and in your diaphragm while you're holding your breath. I think a lot of people who struggle with contractions and struggle with the urge to breathe on their dives, it's not actually due to carbon dioxide levels. It's due to you not being relaxed about the depth and you trying to resist the compression of your lungs. As your lungs are being compressed, you're trying to flex your diaphragm down, because normally in everyday life, if your lungs are too small, you bring your diaphragm down or you expand your intercostals, and more air is going to come inside of your lungs and fill up your lungs. So of course it's your body's natural instinct to try and do this at depth when your lungs are being compressed. But of course you can't breathe in when you're underwater, so it manifests as a contraction. This isn't something that is going to happen to you forever. This is something that you can control through mental concentration and getting yourself used to that feeling. Like I said earlier, the more often you feel something that's strange, the less strange it's going to become until it's not a big deal anymore. So this is another time that empty lung or FRC breath holds can be very, very helpful. Now there are some safety concerns around empty lung and FRC breath holds. One is you're not going to be able to hold your breath for as long as what you put on full lungs. The other is if you did black out on empty lungs or FRC, there's a chance that you could breathe in water. So for this reason, I don't really recommend doing it face down in the water like you would a normal static, unless you are very, very confident with your abilities and you know you're not pushing your abilities. The other ways that you can train is dry, or you can train lying on your back in the water with an inflatable pillow behind your head, so you still get the relaxation of floating in the water, but you don't have the risks of breathing in any water. And remember, the purpose of this exercise is not to hold your breath for as long as you can. The purpose of the exercise is to maintain your relaxation for as long as you can. So if you're starting to struggle, that's the time to come up, because you've now lost your relaxation. Going through the urge to breathe on every single breath hold and really struggling through every single breath hold is probably going to give you a negative feeling about holding your breath. And if you start to associate holding your breath with negative feelings, then that can have effects through the whole of your training and the whole of your freediving, and I seriously don't recommend that. Another great way to develop your relaxation is to master your technique. Before you've mastered a technique, you need to use your conscious mind in order to perform it, but the conscious mind is quite weak. The more often you perform a technique, the more the subconscious mind is going to take over that movement, and the subconscious mind is very powerful in comparison. Once the subconscious mind has control of the movement will become more efficient and your oxygen consumption will drop. This allows you to use your conscious mind in order to focus on just one thing and try and shut out that internal monologue that's going on inside your head, like, is this too deep? Can I do this? Maybe I'm going to black out. You can shut out any negative thoughts and just focus on one thing. A final thing I'm going to mention, and I already touched on it earlier, it's not wise to always do hard breath holds. It's not wise to always start breathing again when you really have to start breathing again. It's mentally exhausting and it's probably not very enjoyable. This sport is so psychological. Okay, so you trying to build up your CO2 tolerance, for instance, yeah, maybe you'll build your CO2 tolerance, but if the consequence of doing that is you starting to dread holding your breath, then it's absolutely not worth it. The most important thing in freediving is developing your relaxation. That should take priority over all other aspects of your training. So if there's one part of your training which you dread, which you really don't want to do, then either make that part of your training easier or completely drop it. It's better to do breath holds that are challenging but not scary, and develop your relaxation. Try and make this challenging breath hold into an easy breath hold. I'm a firm believer in trying to maintain my relaxation and trying to enjoy every single breath hold that I do. And I say that honestly, I don't do any breath holds which I don't enjoy. Because what you're doing is you're programming your mind to associate breath holds with negative feelings. The point in all this training is to be able to prepare for a dive and do a dive without any internal monologue, without any negative thoughts, and maintaining concentration and relaxation for the entire dive. So you should be able to do your breathe up, do your duck dive, do your descent and your ascent without having to consciously think about anything, and without letting your mind wander and having some sort of internal monologue. Your mind should be concentrated on one thing, on the present moment, and your body should be working automatically without conscious thought. Once you can do this, or once I could do this, I really felt like I finally understood the true joys of freediving. It's really something to strive towards. Not just the numbers, but this feeling of acting with your whole mind, body and soul just to perform this one action. It's also known as the flow state, and it's great. That's all we got time for today, guys. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, then please share it. If you want to catch the rest of the videos that are going to come out, because I'm going to be releasing videos quite regularly, because I want you guys to get training before the depth season, then you can subscribe by clicking the little Freedive Passion icon in the corner. Yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Take it easy and dive safe.